Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. If you're just joining us, our story that we're covering right now is a woman from Canton, Georgia, who said to her homeowner association, "You're not going to paint the outside of the home. I'll chain myself to the outside before I let you do that." And we're going to talk to her. She's going to be with us live here in just a moment. Would like to just let our listeners know a couple things. One, we've got a free subscription for you. It's called What's New. A lot of the topics we cover on the show are covered in further detail. There's a lot of other great resources there. It's yours free for the asking. Give us a call at New Concepts 952-922-2500. Ask for Courtney. She'll make sure that you start receiving your subscription. And the number, Tony, that we have for folks if they want to comment about anything they hear on the show or a question that they want us to address.
Yeah, we invite you to call our hotline at 952-224-2668. That way, if you're too shy to be on the air, you can leave a message for us and we'll deal with your issue at our next program.
Yeah. Well, someone who is definitely not too shy and says that she does not mind being outspoken and letting people know what's on her mind is our next guest. We want to welcome to Where You Live with Gene and Tony, Irene Parker Waller. Hello, Irene.
Hello.
Hi, Irene. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Now, you...
Well, the other woman didn't know she'd get picked up way up there.
Now, you live in a homeowners association, and we want to hear more about this story. How long have you lived at your present address?
Well, I live in a home in the same subdivision. My daughter lives in the townhouse.
I see.
Oh, she does.
Here.
Okay.
She lives in the townhouse. My name's on it.
Oh,
I
see.
own a home in there, too.
Okay.
My name's on both of them.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So you're the owner, but not the owner occupant. Your daughter is, and you have.
My granddaughter.
Okay.
Aww.
And you have an issue with the homeowners association and what they want to do.
Yes, I have a big issue.
Tell us what happened.
Well, I've been trying for 4 or 5 years to get them to paint houses across the street from me that are falling down, rotten wood. This is not an old subdivision, at the most 8 years. But they say they can't force people to paint them. All they can do is send them notices and put liens on them and all that. So I've lived with this. I've asked them to get yards cut. They can't force that. I've had the yards cut. I've lived with that. Well, they come up all of a sudden on the townhouses, which are fee simple. They do not take care of anything outside except the yard and don't do a good job of that. And they decide that because they're near the sales office is the real reason. They've moved the sales office. They're wanting sales. We also have a lot of vacant lots, and the builder wants to sell them.
Yeah.
So you think it's because of their desire to want to sell that they want to have this done?
And if these townhouses really needed painting, I would be okay with it. The Cedar Shakes do, but 2 years ago they sent us a notice, power wash them, and you not to stain them, you could seal them. So I had that done.
Okay.
Well, let me
All right.
ask for some clarification here, Irene, because I thought I heard you say something. I want to make sure that I understood. Now, the homes that you're referring to across the street, they are not townhomes in the same exact development as the property you live, correct?
All of this is in the same thing. The townhome where my daughter lives and my home are both in River Green subdivision.
Oh, okay.
So you were saying that you're in a single-family home, and the single-family homes in your area need painting, but the association says their hands are tied. They can't force that. But when it comes to the townhomes, they are going to force it.
They're going to force it because it is up front with the sales office.
Okay.
Ah.
And I said, fine, if they have to be painted, I don't see it, but if they have to be painted and we want to make things look good, let's paint them different colors.
Well, let me...
There are 5 buildings.
Oh, go ahead, Tony.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Irene.
There are 5 buildings of townhouses. They're owned fee simple. They said, no, you can't paint them yourself. We're going to do it, and we're going to raise your dues. And I said, no, you're not. The end units are gable ends with 6 more windows than my townhouse has, plus the cedar shakes.
So
and
you're
said,
saying
no, I'm
it's
not
not
paying
fair.
the same thing
Yeah.
that everyone else is paying. Well, of course, those on the end will be happy to do it. Because we're paying for it. But I'm not doing it. And they sent me a letter last Friday. Said the 3 board members made the decision. It was final. The color wouldn't be changed. We couldn't paint them, and they were going to do it. And I said, "We'll have a good weekend."
I've got a question. I've got a question for you, Irene, and that is now in a homeowners association. It's always been my understanding that there is something called the governing documents that explain the authority that the association has, and that's something that they make available to anybody prior to purchasing a home.
Yeah, well, this was one of those things where at first, this is a different builder built the townhouses.
I see.
But the developer, John Whelan and Chatham, owned the whole thing that built my house. But he said the fees would take care of the outside completely. Well, that's not so.
Well, what he's saying, though, that what I was getting at is that aside, there are governing documents that would explain how everyone is to relate to one another in the association. You probably received those governing documents when you bought the townhome, did you not?
I did, and I've been through them, and it says we are responsible for the outside of the house.
Oh.
And it also says, and what they're telling me is they can force it under the self-help. And I said, no, you can't, because you won't use the self-help to make everyone in River Green paint their homes. There are 2 across the street from me that I've been begging you for years to get painted.
Yeah.
I painted mine after 4.5 years because the paint job was lousy.
Sure, and it needed it. So you have reviewed.
They haven't sent us anything to say. They have to send you notices.
I see.
And go to court and all that before they can enforce the self-help. But I'm telling them you're not going to enforce the self-help on the townhouses.
Yeah.
If you're not going to enforce it on the rest of River Green.
So you have educated yourself and you've informed yourself. You've read the governing documents for the townhouses, and you believe they're violating those documents. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I was a home builder and a real estate agent.
Yeah.
That's all I know how to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not stupid. I'm not a Sarah Palin, as I said, but I'm not stupid. I do not believe they have a legal right.
Yeah.
And in the letter that they sent us to tell us they were going to do this, it said that each owner is responsible for the maintenance of the outside of their home. But since they haven't been painted in 8 years, they're going to paint them.
Now,
there are houses across the street from me that haven't been painted in 8 years that have rotten wood on them.
Now, Irene, now you believe that what you're kind of hanging a lot of your argument on when you talk about you should have the sole authority to paint when it needs to be painted goes back to what you call you think because the property was given to you fee simple, that means that nobody else has that authority other than you, the owner. Is that correct?
That's correct.
But that isn't really what fee simple means, though. There are fee simple is a form of ownership where you do have a lot of ultimate control of what goes on, but there are a few exceptions to those. And you said being in real estate, you would understand what those exceptions are, don't you?
Yes, but I'm saying that if they're going to use a rule for the townhouses, they have to use it for the whole development.
Now, Irene, are they all under the same governing documents, do you think, or are they separate associations?
Yes.
They are all under the same documents.
Now, they're 2 different associations.
There you go.
So they have
you have
different
2
documents.
different.
The other association, it's the Master Association that's forcing the painting.
I see.
And the Master Association is the Builders Association.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
So, have you chained yourself to the home yet?
Yes, I did. It was on the news.
Okay.
You did. Okay, you got to do
And what do you think is going to happen from here?
Well, I called him because one of the advisory members, who is an attorney in there, but he's just an advisory, he picked the wrong old woman to call up and be ugly with her and left me some ugly messages.
Ooh.
Because I hung up on him when he told me that I had embarrassed the whole neighborhood.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
I told him that was his opinion, and he could deal with it, but what I did was my business, and I hung up. So he kept calling me, leaving me ugly messages. So I called the board, the housing, the advisory stuff, and I said, you need to get out here and listen to the messages unless you want another TV station out here tomorrow.
There's never.
He said, then, I said, what is your next move, David? And he said, well, we're not going to paint yours. And I said, well, I'm not stupid. That's not the end of it. What is your next move? And he said, we're consulting with a lawyer. I said, good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have a feeling that they're not dealing with a wilting flower here. Irene, thanks so much for being a part of the show and letting us ask you a few questions.
You're right. Not a wilting flower.
No, that's right. Not at all. Folks, that was Irene Parker Waller, although otherwise known as Nana Unplugged, who told us about her story out of Canton, Georgia. We want to talk and address some of those things more, but we need to take a break right now. You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony on AM 1280 The Patriot. More about this particular situation after these messages.